is not a public hearing. It's there, you asked to be on the agenda, so we're here to listen to your concerns.
Wonderful. Will there be a chance for public comments at noon?
No, ma'am.
There will be items from the public.
Items from the public. Okay, great. Thank you, Council President, council persons, political staff, members of the press, and ladies and gentlemen. On or before December 2nd, 2016, the Public Service Commission of West Virginia will likely approve a permit for the Mountaineer Gas Company to build a natural gas pipeline. This pipeline will be approximately 27 miles. I've included a map, a colored map on your handouts. This pipeline will run from Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and Morgan County to the northern part of Martinsburg, West Virginia, in Berkeley County. It's important to know, please, councilors, that this is a redundant pipeline, which means it's a secondary source of natural gas. And at this point, there is no approved connection point. It is expected that sometime in November of this year, Columbia Gas Transmission, LLC, will have a board meeting and approve a new transmission line that will run from Pennsylvania down through Maryland and Washington County and exit around Hancock, Maryland, go under the Potomac River, and will have a new interconnection with this pipeline. I do want to stress that this approval process is only for the West Virginia part, and it's been approved independently of that connection pipeline. For your records, this is PSC case 15-1256-6-390P and 16-0922G-390P. Copies of all public documents filed in this case can be read online. The website is www.psc.state.wv.us. Councilpersons, when I reviewed the 147 filings in this case, I didn't see your council having a stance as either approving or opposing this pipeline. Mr. Frank Rogers and I would like to come and present some scientific evidence that we hope you will take under consideration and have what I am calling a letter of caution. We believe there's specific evidence in Berkeley County that the Mountaineer Gas Pipeline needs to take into account during construction. Morgan County Commission in a May 26, 2016 letter has offered its, quote, full support of the Mountaineer Gas Company's plan to expand capacity of this natural gas distribution system in the Eastern Panhandle. And similar sentiments were repeated in a July 6th letter from Region 9 and a May 2nd letter from the Jefferson County Development Authority. Now, on October 5th, 2016, a hearing on this pipeline permit happened in an administrative agency in Charleston, West Virginia. The Public Service Commission and Mountaineer Gas reached a settlement agreement without a trial. 14 lawyers were involved in this case, and I was the only lawyer who lives and works in the Eastern Panhandle. I served as counsel for the Blue Heron Environmental Network, an environmental group which began in and around Berkeley County in 1991, and my client's expert witness is Mr. Brent Walls, the Upper Potomac River Keeper. Mr. Walls was the only expert at this hearing with a multi-year work history in this area, and I'd like to thank Mr. Walls for coming today. As a loyal resident of Berkeley County, I want to report back some important findings. In the original 192-page filing, Mountaineer Gas, which is a state monopoly, only had three sentences about water quality. Under environmental information, they said water quality, I quote, water quality will not be affected by the proposed gas pipeline project. And then I'll show you on part R. Under groundwater, they said due to the minimal depth required to bury well-sealed gas pipeline, there should be no effect on the quality of the groundwater in this area. Councilors, I submit to you that Mountaineer Gas, a state monopoly with its headquarters in Charleston, West Virginia, has failed to give adequate consideration to the unique landscape feature in our area. Without a specific boots-on-the-ground analysis, the public safety and public health of Berkeley County residents, the people who elected you, could be endangered. For the next few minutes, I'll explain this important scientific concept called karst geology. Karst geology. That's K-A-R-S-T geology. Karst geology is a landscape feature which is rather unique to Berkeley County. In fact, a recent statewide landfill ordinance granted a specific exception because of it. Karst geology means that a highly dissolvable limestone rock feature exists in our area. Highly dissolvable means that these rocks react quickly and strongly with groundwater. In fact, the water combines, limestone's a carbonic rock. When water and carbon dioxide within that rock medium mix, it creates a carbonic acid, which then dissolves the material of the rock. This quickly dissolving limestone feature will create two problems with our groundwater source. The first of all is that this porous material allows the pollution to flow through the ground at a much higher rate than normal. The greater flow of pollution will go into the Potomac River and people's drinking water wells or within the aquifer. A 2002 study in Berkeley County by the U.S. Geological Service was studying the effect of greater development in their septic tank systems, and it found that the karst geology in our region can easily transmit a source of pollution. Now, in your handout, I would like you to, in your handout I talked about karst geology in the front, and I would like you to turn to page 15 of Mr. Brent Wall's public comments. And on page 15, line 22, I asked, is it your opinion, expert opinion, that having a pipeline that's connected to the northern part of the Eastern Panhandle is more or less dangerous than the existing natural gas pipeline that is in the southern part of the Eastern Panhandle? And Mr. Brent Walls responded, it's my opinion that the northern pipeline that's being proposed would be significantly more dangerous than the pipeline that's coming in from the south, which is going between the karst geology, and therefore is avoiding some of the hazards of karst geology. The proposed pipeline would be going through several zones of karst geology, and therefore would have several opportunities for pollution problems or subsidence, sinkholes, or loss of water quality in the streams. It's a lot of technical information, but in summary, the karst geology of Berkeley County is going to create two problems with the proposed pipeline. It's going to create an unstable ground structure. Again, we talked about those shifting rocks. A steady pipeline going through unstable ground is more prone to breaks. We also have to remember that this karst geography is on top of our region, which has earthquakes. The most recent earthquake happened on January 17, 2016, 3 miles from Ranson, West Virginia, and that was a 3.0 on the Richter scale. I think you guys can remember on August 23rd, 2011, there was a 5.9 Richter scale earthquake that started near Mineral, Virginia. So in addition to this karst geography and the unstable ground, karst geography also creates a porous rock, which means pollution spreads more quickly and into a wider area than other parts of the state. I'd ask you to take note that in our region of the state, the rivers flow north, which means that things that happen in Berkeley County will flow into the Potomac River. As Mr. Brent Walls can testify, the Potomac River is the drinking water source for 6 million Americans within the wider DC metro area, Washington, DC metro area. In summary, it is your duty to make sure that Mountaineer Gas is well informed about the local karst geography of our Berkeley County. We must ensure that the state monopoly will carefully plan pipeline construction. We need to protect the lives and the health of Berkeley County residents. We respectfully request that you send a letter of caution to the PSC before December 2nd in order to warn them of your continued interest in the matter. Any pipeline construction within Berkeley County must consider the public safety and public health of all our residents. Thank you. I would now like to invite Executive Director at the Cape Institute, Frank Rogers, to come give a presentation. He is actually substituting for Ms. Catherine Cooper.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. Frank Rogers, Executive Director of the Cape Institute. Catherine Cooper got a placeholder for me. I'm very pleased to be able to speak this morning. Thank you for having me. And if I could go off topic completely here just for a moment, as a faithful former Marine, I would be remiss to have a microphone in a public place and not say happy birthday to the Marine Corps on November 10th. Cape Institute was founded in 1985. We are a small nonprofit here in West Virginia dedicated to protecting rivers and watersheds using science and education. And as a science-based organization, our board in 2014 resolved to proclaim that we do accept the scientific consensus of climate change. The planet is warming. It is caused by human burning of fossil fuels. And it is a significant threat to us as a people and also the environment of the planet. And some of those significant threats, everyone hears about the sea level rise along the coastlines. We've seen the tremendous increase in the power of hurricanes and tornadoes. We know about these. Another pressing threat, particularly for Ridge and Valley communities of West Virginia, is flash flooding. Unprecedented, extreme rain events that flooded Berkeley Springs just a few years ago, our communities in southwest West Virginia and Ellicott City just last year. And the reporting on this isn't quite accurate because you'll hear that it's the worst, it's a 100-year storm or a 500-year storm. These storms are unprecedented in that what is typical for a city like Ellicott City is for over a month's time of steady rain for the Patapsco to back up and rise slowly up into town. But what we see now is 7 or more inches of rain falling in a matter of hours, and the city being devastated by these flash floods. And that is one of the predicted outcomes of a warmer climate, is that the warm atmosphere is able to hold more water, and then when it does release, it's released in extreme events. And so climate change is a threat not just to coastal communities, but to us here. The Tuscarora, for example, which pinches right through Martinsburg, is a prime example of a ridge and valley stream that would not do well in a flash flood event. As you're deliberating on this and considering the pipeline, I'm sure you will hear that natural gas is a bridge fuel. That's an often touted industry statement, but it's a bridge fuel. It's going to help us move off of fossil fuels. That has been debunked. I have with me today, one of my favorite 3 pages on this is from Physicians for Social Responsibility. And they discuss this issue. And methane is a major component of natural gas. And in the fracking process, a tremendous amount of methane gas escapes. It becomes a fugitive gas. It's either burned off or it just escapes completely. And methane, in the first 20 years after it's released, is more than 80 times more warming than CO2. So the way fracking is happening right now, it's releasing more than 3 times more methane than coal production does. So it is not a clean fuel, it is not a bridge fuel, it's actually, by some studies, it's accelerating climate change. Also, to debunk the notion that it's a clean fuel, it is in fact clean at the end user point when the user burns it. It's a fairly clean fuel at that point. However, the fracking process itself is one of the most polluting, destructive extraction processes that's been developed. And Johns Hopkins University has been studying communities in north central Pennsylvania. Our neighbors not far away in Pennsylvania are being affected by the fracking that's occurring in their neighborhoods. And Johns Hopkins University has found that there's up to a 4% increase in asthma cases. That's because the fracking process releases volatile organic compounds and creates ozone. And there's up to a 30% increase in at-risk pregnancies. And this is in Pennsylvania. Now, I know the pipeline isn't about actually drilling, but just so you know, we are on top of the Utica gas play, as it's called, which is bigger than the Marcellus. It's deeper, so it hasn't been, there is actually one well now in West Virginia that's accessing the Utica. But we are on top of a potential fracking area when the drillers do start to go towards the Utica. Fracking also uses a tremendous amount of fresh water, and it's known to destroy water tables and pollute surface water. And again, the pipeline doesn't have directly to do with the fracking. And climate change is a very big global issue, I know, and you're deliberating on a local issue here. But the pipeline will increase dependence on fracked gas, which is a terribly polluting gas, and it is not a bridge fuel. Having a pipeline here also invites drilling here. And locally, the pipeline route has not been exactly laid out yet, but from what people have been able to ascertain from where the pipeline survey markers are on the roads, it's going to just permanently destroy somewhere around 150 acres of forest as it passes through Morgan and Berkeley counties. And the right-of-way will cross Warm Springs, Back Creek, Deopecking, and as was mentioned earlier, will pass through the karst area, and Martinsburg, of course, the drinking water supply is from the spring. The exact impact of this can't be determined, but even if the pipeline should go forward, they should be held to the highest standards, because the protection of the freshwater streams is very important, and of course the protection of Martinsburg spring water is also very important. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take questions if there are any.
Anybody have any questions or statements for Mr. Rogers?
And I will leave this statement from the physicians for responsible, social responsibility.